Bum 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 bum.
I play a lot of guitar, especially electric, and whenever I play somewhere, whether it be at church or at school, people always come up to me, take one look at my pedal board and say, "What is that?" In this video, I want to answer that question. I will walk you through how an electric guitar works, what guitar pedals are, and how I personally put mine all together. We've got a lot to cover, so let's dive right in. This is an electric guitar. It works much the same way as an acoustic guitar. It's got strings, and a neck, a head, a body. The difference comes in the amplification. An acoustic guitar has internal amplification, while an electric guitar has external amplification. The acoustic guitar amplifies internally by immediately taking the vibrations of the strings and turning them into sound waves, which then reverberate inside of the body and come out the sound hole much louder. The electric guitar does it a little different. Instead of immediately taking the string vibrations and turning them into sound vibrations, it takes the string vibrations and turns them into electrical signals. This electric signal travels from the guitar and goes to an amp, where it is transformed from electrical signal to sound waves that we can hear. This kind of external amplification allows for a ton of different tone modifications. There's a lot that can happen between your guitar and your amp. We can take that electric signal that the electric guitar gives off and manipulate it in ways that an acoustic guitar could never achieve. While an acoustic guitar is limited by acoustic properties, the electric guitar is limited only by your imagination and your engineering skills, which I don't have. But how do we manipulate the sound? What if I'm not an electrical engineer? That is why we have guitar pedals. You don't need to be an electrical engineer, you just need to have money, which I also don't have. But what are guitar pedals? Guitar pedals are simply an electronic device that alters the sound of an instrument. They use electric circuits to compress, distort, delay, modulate, and a whole host of other things. There are a million different pedals out there, and it can be easy to get confused, which is why I like to split them up into 3 different categories: tone, time, and true. Allow me to explain. Tone pedals alter the sound of the guitar. They alter the tone. These are the guitar pedals that give you distorted sounds like those from Metallica, the Eagles, and from Led Zeppelin. The time pedal category is a little bit harder to describe, but basically these control what happens to the tone without changing the tone itself. The 2 classic examples of time pedals is delay and reverb. Delay pedals echo whatever sound you put into them. Reverb pedals make it appear as though you're playing in a room that is really big and reverberates a lot. These pedals just add a lot of depth to your tone and allow you to create a lot of sounds that you wouldn't otherwise without them. The 3rd category is non-altering or true pedals. I call these true pedals because the sound that comes out of them is the same as or is true to the sound that goes into them. These are your tuner pedals and your volume pedals. They're more essentials than accessories. Those are the 3 basic categories of guitar pedals. And now that we know what they all are, I'm going to show you how I personally put them all together. To demonstrate this, I'm going to be playing the song Never Gonna Stop Singing by Jesus Culture. I'll show you what my setup sounds like for this song, and then I'm going to go back and show you how I construct my sound going through tone into time. I won't demonstrate the true pedals just because they don't really alter my sound at all. So here's what our end product is going to sound like. 1, 2, 3, 4. When constructing my electric guitar sound, I always start with tone, specifically compression. Compression is so important because it evens out the volume of my signal. It lowers the volume of hard strums and raises the volume of soft picking. That is super important for this song because when picking with your fingers, it's really easy to risk sounding soft, thin, flabby, and compression removes that risk. It adds a little extra energy to your signal so that you have more power when picking. I'm going to start by showing you my clean signal, unaltered by any kind of pedal whatsoever. And then I'm going to throw on my compression. And this is what that sounds like. After engaging the compression, I move on to distortion. Distortion adds some breakup to the signal. For this song, I like to use just some light distortion. It makes my tone warm without going to the ear-blasting hard rock extremes. First, I will show you what it sounds like without the distortion, and then I'll add in the distortion later. We do this through time pedals. And first, we want to adjust our delay. Now that we've established our bass tone, we can move on to how we want to modulate that tone. This song has a very specific delay setting. In order to mimic what the guitar player on the track does for this song, I had to set my pedal to 112 BPM with a dotted eighth delay. This just means that when playing at 112 BPM, the space between the actual note and the echo is the space of a dotted eighth note. First I will play without the delay, and then I'll turn it on so that you can hear the huge difference that it makes. The very last thing that I add to my tone is reverb. Reverb might not seem important at first, but it makes a huge difference. Adding reverb just gives a lot of depth to your tone and just makes it seem more professional. For this song, I like to use a mild reverb. If you add too much reverb, the sound can get muddy and notes will sound indistinct from one another. But on the flip side, if you don't put on enough reverb, your sound will appear dry and you miss out on bringing your playing to the next level. First I will play without the reverb, and then I'll put it on so that you can hear what my reverb sounds for this track. And now that we've completely dialed in our tone, we can put it all together and it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's how I put my guitar tone together. There's a ton more that goes into it all, but those are the basics. It all stems from an understanding of how an electric guitar works, using external amplification rather than internal amplification, and the wider range of modification that that brings. You now know what guitar pedals are and the three categories: tone, time, and true. And I hope that seeing how I personally set up my guitar sound helped demonstrate just how good quality guitar tone is achieved. Thanks for listening.